guest for the
Research
first half of
suggests
my
that less
show.
than half
Welcome.
of
It's
the
the Suzette
individuals
Speak
that are
Show
eligible
here in Miami. Hit the like button. I'm live during the interview.
get the word out and get those numbers higher.
Absolutely. And this segment again is brought to you by the Florida Health Justice Project. The time is now 1:08 in South Florida. We're so grateful again for their partnership in helping us understand more about these programs, guys. So tell us more about Medicare savings programs.
Okay, so for individuals that are enrolled in Medicare, they pay a Part B premium that covers outpatient medical care, and it's automatically deducted from their monthly Social Security payment. They may not even be aware of this unless they look at the annual statement that they receive in the mail that shows the gross amount of their benefit
Hey
and then the
guys,
adjusted monthly amount.
shout out to everybody watching Suzette Speak Show live here in Miami.
So in
We have a special
2026,
guest
this premium
partnership
is about
today about
$303
Medicare.
per month.
So gotta
Depending upon the
listen
gross amount
in,
of the Social
and hopefully
Security
you'll learn
payment
something
that
as
they're
well. Hit
entitled
the
to,
like
this
button.
could be
Thanks
a
for watching.
significant reduction that takes away from the funds available to cover their living expenses every month. So for low-income individuals who meet the specific income and asset requirements for a Medicare savings program, the state will cover that $203 Medicare Part B premium.
Wow, that's really good to know. So as we were talking here, you mentioned that these programs are for low income Medicare enrollees. Could you give us an idea about that income limit or the income limits that apply?
Income limit to be eligible for a Medicare savings program is 135% of the federal poverty level, which varies according to household size. So to give you an idea of what this translates to, it's about $1,800 per month for a single person or $2,400 a month for a household of two. Savings program. So a person can't have assets in the bank of more than $10,000 for a single person or $15,000 for a household of two.
Okay, that's great to know. So we know that there are income limits for the Medicare savings program. So you mentioned the income limits vary depending on the household size. So that would be single or who's in your household. So who is counted in the household for purposes of eligibility for the program?
That's a really important question and one that people need to be aware of because this rule has changed in the last few years. So to determine eligibility for a Medicare savings program, the household is defined to include the person applying and anybody related to them by blood, marriage, or adoption who is living with the applicant, who is dependent upon the applicant or their spouse, if there is one, for at least half of their financial support. And again, this is significant because the more people that are included in the household, the higher the income limits, and the more likely the applicant will be eligible to enroll in the program. So, for example, if a grandmother is enrolled in Medicare,
shout out to everybody watching. I have a paid interview today with a program to deal with healthcare and Medicare. So hopefully you'll learn something. In the last 30 minutes, I'll do something on my own.
So her income limit to be eligible for a Medicare savings program would be about $3,000 per month.
Wow, that's very helpful information. If you're just joining, just to catch you up, this is the Suzette Speak Show. Yes, you are listening to a very informative edition thanks to the Florida Health Justice Project. We're talking today about Medicare savings program, okay? And we want to make sure our community is well informed. Yes, we're not quite yet in enrollment time, but it will be here before we know it. So we want to make sure you know your options and start asking questions and become more informed about your healthcare. Again, I'm here with Miss Lynn Hearn. She is the legal director for the Florida Health Justice Project, where she manages their legal team and helps vulnerable Floridians throughout the state with accessing healthcare. Miss Lynn, I wanted to ask you, are there any other requirements to be eligible for a Medicare savings program other than the financial ones you've mentioned?
Yes, there are just a few. One is that the individual must be enrolled in Medicare Part A, which is what covers inpatient hospital expenses. Most people who worked for the required number of years receive free Part A coverage.
I don't know some of this stuff. I'm learning too, guys.
And they can obtain coverage by paying a monthly premium. But either way, a person must have Part A coverage in order to be eligible for a Medicare savings program, which will cover their Part B premium.
Okay, so this helps with Part B. So you must be enrolled in Part A for Medicaid. So again, if you're listening, maybe you're not of the age yet to qualify for Medicare, or maybe you are not at the financial threshold, but you may know someone in your life, a loved one. I know for me, the sandwich generation, when you're taking care of your parents or perhaps children or adult children even, they may qualify, or someone you know in your household or just in your circle of influence. That's why we want to bring you this information, guys, to make sure that our listening audience is very, very, very well informed, right? Because remember, health is your wealth. Again, the time check is about 1:13, brought to you by the Florida Health Justice Project. My name is again Suzette Speaks. If you're new here, I'm your hostess with the mostest. I come to you every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. with hot topics. We'll get to that during the second half, y'all. Social media trends and of course news you can use. So today we are giving you lots of news you can use because we want you to be prepared and ready when it's time to enroll in your health care plan. We're talking about Medicare savings program, okay? And we've heard, this is a continuation of a conversation, you guys, if you've been tuning in every weekend. You have, looking at the numbers, we've heard a couple weeks ago that the Medicaid immigration requirements are changing due to HR 1, also known as the big bill. So does that affect the Medicare savings program as well, the immigration requirements, Ms. Lynn? What say you?
It does. Medicare savings programs have the same citizenship or immigration status requirements as other Medicaid programs. So right now, as we sit here in April 2026, a person who is a U.S. citizen or has a qualifying immigration status is eligible for a Medicare savings program. But as with other Medicaid programs throughout the country, as of October 1st of this year in Florida, only very limited immigration statuses will be considered qualified immigrants. And there are three categories. The first is lawful permanent residents or green card holders after a 5-year waiting period. The second is Cuban and Haitian entrants. And the third is COFA residents, or those from Micronesia, the Marshall Islands, or Palau. And that's effective October 1st of this year. But right now, there's a broader list of immigrant categories that are eligible for these programs. And by the way, there is no...
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button. Again, doing an informative first half of my show, then we'll talk. Awesome. That is great information. I already can see the light bulbs going off over my listeners, right? The thought bubbles are appearing because, of course, this is a lot of information, guys. So we are doing this in a series. Do not worry. And we want to also point you to their website. What's your website? Just because I know there are people who will be listening who will be wondering, wow, is that me? Or do I fit in between? Or I'm just at the margin? Or I maybe lost my job? Or I just had a big change in my financial status, etc., or my residency, etc., as she described. Can they contact the Florida Health Justice Project for help? And if so, how can they reach you?
Absolutely. Our website is floridahealthjustice.org. We have a lot of materials that are available there that are talking about these changes in immigrant eligibility and lots of other things. And there's also a way to make a specific request for legal assistance if you're having trouble getting coverage you think you're entitled to, or you're not sure what you're entitled to. You can fill out an intake form on the I Need Help button on our website.
Awesome. That's good to know. Again, that's floridahealthjustice.org. floridahealthjustice.org. If you are listening and you're wondering, oh, I may have a specific question, does this apply to me? Go ahead and reach out. And again, it's the I Need Help button on their website, and they'll be happy to work with you and see how they can be of service. I'm here with Ms. Lynn Hearn, the legal director for the Florida Health Justice Project. This is the Suzette Speak Show live here on Voice of the Caribbean Radio every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. We're talking news you can use today. Remember, healthcare enrollment will be, around the corner. We want to make sure you have the information early and so that you can make informed decisions for yourself or for those that you love. We're talking Medicare Savings Program today, and I'm here again with Ms. Lynn Hearn. Ms. Lynn, so asking you mentioned earlier that a Medicare Savings Program may cover other medical expenses, in addition to what you talked about, the Part B premium, right? Tell us more about what else may be covered by the Medicare Savings Program.
Yes, there are actually three tiers of Medicare savings programs depending upon the household income. So the one with the lowest income limit is called the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary Program, or QMB, and it provides additional benefits. The income limit for this program is 100% of the federal poverty level, which in 2026 is about $1,300 for a single person. And remember, there's an asset limit of $10,000 for a single person for all of these programs. So an individual qualifying for QMB not only will have their Part B premium paid by the state, but also they can't be billed for coinsurance or deductibles for any Medicare covered service. So this is a really meaningful program that helps people with very low incomes obtain access to the health care that they need without worrying about paying out-of-pocket expenses that are not covered by Medicare.
Oh, that's excellent. So we have not only Part B premium coverage, but other aspects. Tell us, are there any other assistance programs to help low income individuals who are enrolled in Medicare?
Yes, there's an amazing program for prescription drugs. It goes hand in hand with the Medicare savings programs, a federal program called the Extra Help Program, or Medicare Part D. This program is also sometimes called the Low Income Subsidy, or LIST program. A person enrolled in a Medicare savings program should be automatically enrolled in Extra Help. But the income and asset eligibility limits for Extra Help are higher than they are for Medicare savings programs. So it's possible to be eligible for Extra Help even if you're not eligible for a Medicare savings program. So for example, the income eligibility limit for a single person to receive Extra Help is about $2,000 per month, or $2,700 for a household of two. Another benefit for Medicare enrollees who qualify for a Medicare savings program is that they can enroll in a dual special needs Medicare Advantage plan, or a shorthand is it.
Hit the like button. I have a sponsor for my first half hour. Then we'll chit chat the second half hour. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like button. Excellent. I'm here again with Ms. Lynn Hearn, the legal director of Florida Health Justice Project. You can find out more about them or get help if you're listening and you're, oh, wow, your brain is rumbling and you're wondering, wait a minute, is that me? Can I qualify? It's better to ask, okay? So they are here to advocate and increase access for Floridians to health care, right? So that is what they do. So feel free to go on their website. Again, that is floridahealthjustice.org. Florida Health Justice. Hey, it's in the name, .org. And you can fill out the I need help sector, I want to say segment and sector at the same time. Section. There we go. And, get some advice. And it's free, guys. It's free. They're here to help people across Florida who are searching for healthcare to make sure they get the healthcare they deserve. All right. So we want to make sure they are here as a resource to you. Time check is now 1:21. I'm here with Ms. Lynn Hearn, again, the legal director of the Florida Health Justice Project. She's telling us with some great information about Medicare savings programs. Again, we've enjoyed the series we're doing here on the Suzette Speaks show. So to continue with our conversation, Ms. Lynn, are there any other, actually, I think you just told me that, the assistance program, the Extra Help, which you just described, the Part D. And so I want to ask you, what are the benefits of the Extra Help program?
Yes, the Extra Help program is just an amazing program. People are entitled to enrollment in this Part D prescription drug plan with a $0 monthly premium cost and a $0 deductible. And there's a maximum amount that anybody enrolled in the program can be charged as a copay for prescription drugs. And in 2026, that maximum is about $13 for a brand name drug, or $5 for a generic copay. And those with lower incomes pay even lower amounts in copay. So it makes prescription drugs more affordable.
Fantastic. Again, this is the first time I've heard of some of these programs, and I'm sure many of our listeners are like, what does that mean? And especially our listeners who are fixed income folks and maybe are looking for resources. You have to go to the doctor. You have to keep up with your health, especially as we get older. So we do need to stay informed about the different programs, guys. That's why we're doing this series. We at the Voice of the Caribbean, along with Florida Health Justice Project, want to make sure you have the information so that you are informed. No one should go without proper health care coverage, especially if you are in a fixed income, low income situation. No matter what your circumstances are, we are Floridians, and we expect, again, our federal resources, there we go, to be put to good use. And again, if you don't know about it, oftentimes you leave, programs with money on the table that could be of service to you or those you love. So here we are trying to bring you an informative conversation. We hope this is helpful. And we just have a few more minutes here with Miss Lynn Hearn. Again, time check is 1:23. If you're almost finished with your lunch, we're glad you're listening. Thank you for tuning in. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Suzette Speaks is on every Thursday and Friday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And we're talking about Medicare savings programs today. So Ms. Lynn, as we begin to wrap up, say a person is listening and is enrolled in Medicare, and they believe they might be eligible for Medicare savings programs or extra help, as you described. Where should they go to apply?
Okay, so to apply directly for a Medicare savings program, they should go to the Florida Department of Children and Families website, specifically the My Access Florida, which is www.myaccess.myfamilies.com. Or they can call the Florida Department of Children and Families call center, or go in person to a family resource center, which are listed on DCF's website. The application will ask for this financial information that we've described, the monthly income, the assets, and also who else is in the household. To apply directly for the Part D Extra Help program, they can go to their local Social Security office, apply online at the Social Security Administration, ssa.gov. There's a 1-800 number there, 1-800-772-1213, to set up an appointment to apply over the phone. And that application information will also be sent to the state to evaluate their eligibility for a Medicare savings program. Another resource I want to mention as a great source of help for anybody with questions about how to proceed with these plans is the SHINE program, Florida SHINE. Their website is floridashine.org. Their phone number is 800-963-5337. That's a state-sponsored program that offers unbiased counseling for all Medicare-related programs and other things. But for these Medicare savings programs, they're a great resource as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Lynn. And finally, I want to ask you, does it ever happen that someone who is eligible for a Medicare savings program is denied enrollment? And if so, what should the individual do if that happens?
Yes, unfortunately, the state Medicaid agency does sometimes make errors. In particular, you'll recall that I mentioned earlier that the way people in the household are counted has changed over the last few years. It doesn't appear to us that the change has been programmed into the state system. So we do often see incorrect denials when there's more than just the applicant in the household. We at Florida Health Justice Project are happy to help individuals when that happens, or any other issues with enrollment in these programs, and invite them again to go to our website, floridahealthjustice.org, and complete a request for legal assistance.
That is great.
Call us. Let me give you our phone number. It's 786-475-5070.
Thank you. I was going to jump right in. I'm going to let you say it one more time before you leave us, because again, this is such informative conversations going on right here at Voice of the Caribbean. And again, we're bringing it to the community because before you know it, it'll be enrollment time. And before you know it, people are starting to think about it earlier and earlier so that we can get prepared and again, gain access to the type of health care that we deserve. Again, we're here brought to you by today, the Florida Health Justice Project. I'll give you the last word, Ms. Lynn, before you go. Again, thank you for a wonderful conversation today and for bringing this information to our listeners. Any final thoughts before I leave you today?
Thank you for hosting this and for helping us get the word out. As you said, we don't want to leave money on the table. So if you are a person who is enrolled in Medicare and really struggling financially to meet your household needs and to get the health care that you need, look into these Medicare savings programs and see if it's something that you might be eligible for. And feel free to contact us at floridahealthjustice.org, 786-475-5070.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Ms. Lynn Hearn, the legal director at Florida Health Justice Project, for spending some time with us and for educating our community about Medicare savings programs. We thank you so very much. And one more time, the website and the phone number.
Justice.org, phone number 786-475-5070.
Thank you, Ms. Lynn. We've enjoyed our conversation with you, and we know you'll be back giving us more information. Again, we want to make sure our community is informed, and we want to thank the Florida Health Justice Project for powering this segment. Have a great day. Thank you. Great speaking with you. Of course. Yes, we enjoyed that. And again, in the Suzette Speak Show, you guys know I love to do great interviews with folks who have information that can help empower our community. That's what it's all about. And the time check is now 1:29. We appreciate once again the Florida Health Justice Project for bringing us this very informative segment. Again, you can reach them floridahealthjusticeproject.org. floridahealthjustice.org. I'm giving the whole name, but the website is only the first three, floridahealthjustice.org. That's floridahealthjustice.org. We appreciate you powering this segment of the Suzette Speaks Show. We have to take a quick pause for the cause. Station ID. Don't go anywhere. More Suzette Speaks right after this.
The City of Lauderdale, the voice of the Caribbean.
Hey, how y'all doing? What's up, what's up, what's up, my people? It's a beautiful day here in South Florida. I gotta tell people about rain. I wanted to talk about the case, and I don't think I have it in me to talk about the Shreveport case where the man took his own kids' lives. That one has been heavy on my heart. I don't think I'm going there. I think I'm going to talk about registering to vote. Florida is doing a lot of voter purging. So I want to start to remind people to re-register to vote. So I want to get people informed. Let me get my mind right. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button for me. Let me just do.
For more info, call 954-816-2993 or 954-999-0070. Purchase tickets online. Eventbrite.com/celebrity football match artists versus selectors. The voice of the Caribbean. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
Yes, good afternoon. Welcome back. The time is now 1:30. It is Suzette Speaks, or 1:31. It's Suzette Speaks live on your radio. Go on, my people. I heard you guys were out there at Rebel Salute doing your thing. We had a wonderful showing at the big concert this past Sunday. If you missed it, honey, you missed it. Good afternoon, everybody watching online. I see you, Great Pill Podcast. What's up? Pastor Damon, I see you, Smooth Approach. Everybody watching on the YouTube side, big up yourselves. Everybody who is listening, whether you're on the app, everyone who's downloaded the app. Did you know we have an app? Make sure you download the app. If you are traveling all over the world. In fact, we have listeners from Africa to Europe. And we're so excited because people are telling their friends and family about the Voice of the Caribbean and the app. And the app is free. It's in the App Store, whether you are an Apple or like the Google Play. Make sure you download it. Take us with you wherever you go. Thank you once again to the Florida Health Justice Project for that wonderful, informative segment. We're going to have them back next week, y'all. We're doing our part as our community service to make sure our community is well informed. Healthcare is a big, big issue for us, right? Finding coverage, help is there. So make sure you visit them, floridahealthjustice.org, floridahealthjustice.org. Tongue tied today. Let me take a little sip here of my lemon water. Shout out to everybody who is listening near and far. It's going to be a rainy day in South Florida. Yes, the rain. Did you get caught in the rain just now? I was taking my mom to an appointment, And trust me, and the drop off, the rain caught us. So I was in my car for a little bit, didn't want her to get too wet. So expect intermittent showers, right? Showers throughout this afternoon, all throughout the South Florida region. So make sure you have your umbrella. My poor umbrella, I had to go digging for it in my trunk, but I had it, thank goodness. Have my umbrella ready. But I want to talk, and I was going to talk about some of the headline news. But I've been to a couple of meetings this week. You guys know, in full disclosure, that, I'm a community activist as well. I love to participate in, civic causes, making sure that we are making our friends and neighbors' lives better, right? Elevating our community in everything that we do. And that's a part of our mission here at Voice of the Caribbean. But also, just as an individual, I was at a couple of civic meetings, and the big news, and I want to, talk about the news story about that horrific tragedy that happened in Shreveport, Louisiana, the alleged taking of his own kids' lives, the man that police ended up taking his life. That story has just been ruminating in my spirit. Really was very difficult to listen to, and I was like, I don't want to leave the people with that today. I'm going to try to make them empowered. And how can we be empowered, folks? With everything going on, with the gerrymandering and the re-gerrymandering, with the war happening in the Middle East. Still, the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Apparently, I don't know about this thing called a ceasefire. But in the meantime, we have midterm elections that will be here before you know it. And when I went to my civic meetings this week, talking to elected officials, talking to community leaders, the big issue that they kept raising over and over again is people having no knowledge that they possibly have been taken off of our voter rolls. Did you know that across the state of Florida, you may have been knocked off? We call it purged, knocked off the voter rolls, meaning you registered, you thought you registered, you think you are still registered, but you are no longer registered due to new rules and new changes. So when I listened at my community meeting to all the different folks who talked about what it was that, they experienced, they thought they were registered, then they checked with their supervisor of elections office. That's the Miami-Dade supervisor of elections, Broward County supervisor of elections office, Palm Beach supervisor of elections office. Wherever you live, whatever county you live in, you have a supervisor of elections. And within their office, they're the people that keep the voter registration, right? We call it the voter rolls. The voters who have registered, they keep a record at the supervisor of elections office. However, throughout the meetings I went to Monday and the meeting I went to on Tuesday, I kept hearing story after story where folks were saying, I thought I was registered, but when I checked with my supervisor of elections, I was no longer registered. So let's talk a little bit about what are some of the reasons why their people are getting kicked off the voters' rolls. The purge is happening. You know that movie, The Purge? That's a crazy movie, but not talking about that type of purge. We're talking about people, citizens, voters, folks who were supposed to have their voices heard at the ballot box in a democracy by being able to vote, not knowing that they have been taken off the voter rolls. They have been kicked off, or other words, they call it purged. You've been taken off and you did not know. Did you know that you could be taken off the voters' rolls? And it's really crazy. It is really crazy. So we have to inform the public as our community service here at Voice of the Caribbean that I'm not going to tell you who to vote for, but I'm going to tell you, check that you're actually registered still. Because what happens is, for example, let's just use, I have it open, the Broward County Supervisor of Elections. If you live in Broward County, any city in Broward County, you belong to the Broward County Supervisor of Elections. When you go on their website, they tell you, you have to be registered at least 29 days before an election in order to vote in that election. So if you got kicked off and you didn't know, and you go show up on voting day, and you say, hey, I'm here to vote. This is where I always vote. This is how I normally vote. Here's my ID. And they say, uh-oh, Miss So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, you're no longer registered. You were purged. You were kicked off. Then there's nothing that they can do that day because you should have been registered at least 29 days ahead. Sometimes, depending on your circumstances, they might let you vote what they call provisionally, meaning they'll let you vote, but you don't even know if it's going to count. They got to review it. But we're trying to prevent that from happening by letting the public know from now that you need to check your name, look up your own name on your Supervisor of Elections office site. Go ahead, Broward County Supervisor of Elections, Miami-Dade Supervisor of Elections, Monroe County Supervisor of Elections Office, Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections Office, whatever county you live in, wherever you are in our listening area, whether you're watching me on the YouTube side, whether you are listening to me on the app, this is your call. We're going to keep reminding you, because what we don't want to happen is for a lot of people to show up at the voting booth when the midterms come in August. It'll be here before you know it, folks. And then you show up, do, like I normally do, and you're not registered. There's a lot of what we Caribbean people say, bandulo things going on, a lot of bandulo. What does that mean? It has been, by law, somewhat more difficult to vote. There are a little bit more requirements. Some would call it roadblocks. I don't have an opinion on that. I'm just telling you what's happening. That there are more and more challenges that make it more difficult for people to vote now more than ever. So if you have not gone on your supervisor, you know what I'm going to do? Because I'm telling you to do it. I'm going to march down to Miami-Dade Supervisor of Election. Everybody don't have that time. Everybody don't have that ability to go and look it up. But I don't want to say beg, because we're not begging. I beseech, I encourage, right? And I encourage all of our listeners to look up your status from now. Start early. Everyone in your household. Once again, we at the Voice of the Caribbean are not endorsing anybody for any particular election. We just want to bring you the information and let you know there are a lot of changes to Florida voting laws. And if you're not aware, you might show up and your vote doesn't count. And that's the last thing we want to happen. So right now, I'm just encouraging you. Welcome if you're just joining. This is the Suzette Speaks Show. We had a wonderful first half. If you missed it, we were talking about Florida health savings programs with Ms. Lynn Hearn from the Florida Health Justice Project. This edition of the Suzette Speaks Show is brought to you by the Florida Health Justice Project. The time check is now 1:40. And we've been having a wonderful, very informative series with the Florida Health Justice Project team. So we're going to continue to do that, because why? Here at the Voice of the Caribbean, we care about our people, and we want to make sure you know more and more about the programs that exist. What? To do what government's supposed to do. Help make our lives better. Remember that part? Protect us? Make our lives better? That part? So I'm really encouraging you today. Start to look up your voting registration and your status. Just because you voted in, and especially if you haven't voted in a long time, if you've missed like 2 or 3 elections, they're taking you off the rolls. It used to be your voter registration, once registered, always registered. That's not the case anymore, guys. So if you hear urgency in my voice, if you hear frustration in my voice, here I am to, bring you information you can use. That's what we try to do. Again, there's some social media stories. I'll get to those tomorrow, guys. I'll get to some trending stories. But I want to first bring you what is the most important thing to our community, which is you and everyone in your household, you and everyone in your church, in your place of worship, in your mosque, in your community, your sphere of influence. You have to start talking to them about whether they know their true voting status. Are you actually registered? I know you registered way before, but if you didn't vote in the last 3 elections, you might have got deactivated, right? What they call removed, kicked off, purged, and no longer eligible. And you have to re-register. That doesn't mean purged forever. You can re-register, but you got to do something to activate, change your address. Now, the other thing, I got a new driver's license. And the rule is after July 1st in the state of Florida, after July 1st, 2025, everyone who got a new driver's license after that date got a new driver's license number. But guess what? Your driver's license number ties back to your voter's registration. So you might have to update your new driver's license number. In fact, you do have to update your new driver's license number on your voter registration. Because what? They don't match anymore. Listen what I'm telling you. If you got a new license, that's after July 1st, 2025, you got a new license number. Your old license number might be on your voter registration. So when you go to present your ID, guess what happens? You got a new a new driver's license with a new number, but your registration got the old number on it. So what happens? We have to update our voters registration. I'm talking about now. Don't wait till August to the midterms. It is such a very, very, some people would even say orchestrated effort to make it more difficult to vote. And again, the views and opinions expressed on the Suzette Speak Show are that of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily that of the station ownership and management. So in here, when we're talking about voting segment, once again, voter registration segment, I should say, is not to say who you should vote for. It's to say, do you even know if you're really registered? Do you know? Because like I said, I sat in meetings this week, Monday night, Tuesday night, listening to activists and people in our community who care. And several of them said they had a new driver's license after July 1st. And when they went to the registration office, their supervisor of election in person, some of them said they went down there. They wasn't really registered. And they've been voting 10, 15, 20, 40 years. These are grown people who voted every election and they were removed. So imagine people who have not voted. So guys, I want to encourage you today. It is super important, like millions of other Floridians. You have to also remember, your vote by mail used to carry over election to election. Listen, your vote by mail now expires after every election. You have to request a new vote by mail each and every election. Did you know that? Once again, like millions of other Floridians, your vote by mail request expired after the last election. Why? Under the new Florida law, vote by mail enrollment resets on January 1st after each election cycle. For people who know what that means, basically every time you vote, you got to order your vote by mail now. It used to carry 4 years, I think, carry over for 4 years in Florida. Not anymore, guys. This is Suzette Speaks Show. The time is now 1:45 in the city. Remember, bring your umbrella today. It's a rainy day. Lots of news. We'll keep you informed all day. We know there's still a standoff between the United States and Iran. That has not changed, or Iran. That has not changed. Unfortunately, still keeping an eye out on that news. Hopefully we'll get some sort of reprieve on high gas prices soon. I don't know about you, but we're counting down to the pennies now with our budgets, the way inflation is working. But that's why I'm bringing up voting so early. Why wait till August? We need to know our voting status now. Have you been kicked off the rolls and you don't know it? Have you been purged? Have you been taken off and your right to vote taken away from you and you don't even know? Because after they take you off, certain counties, they don't have to even send you a mailer to tell you you're off, because you won't get any more mail because you're off. You're inactive, you're deactivated, and you have to reactivate. Remember, even if they take you off, it's not permanent. It's just that you have to reactivate, contact them, fill out the voter registration again on your county supervisor of elections office. Remember, each and every county, all the 67 counties in Florida have supervisors of elections that are in charge of keeping track of each voter in their county. So you have the right to check your status in your county at any given time. Hey, where's my voter registration? Am I active? Have I been deactivated so I can't vote? It is very scary, because we don't want is for you to show up on election day in August and think you can vote. I'm here to vote. Oh, no, you're not. Oh, no, you can't. Oh, I'm sorry, you've been deactivated. This is what people are finding out. So we got to let our friends and neighbors know from now that under the new law, remember, even when it comes to vote by mail, you have to reorder a vote by mail every election. Once again, under the new law, the vote by mail enrollment resets on January 1st after each election cycle. So after you vote that November, come January 1st, you got to order a new vote by mail if you want to vote in the next election. Think about that, guys. In order to vote by mail the next election, you'll need to send your supervisor of elections a new vote by mail request. How do you do that? It's very easy. Go on their website. I'm looking at the Broward County Supervisor of Elections, for example, and you can just request it. I see the vote by mail request. Quick and easy, fill it out, and then they'll send it to you. But it's not automatic anymore. All right. Some people are saying these are voter suppression tactics. That is discouraging people and deactivating people from the voter rolls, purging them, kicking them off. And whatever the reasoning is, we cannot let it stop us in this next election. It's too important. You see everything that's going on. So knowing your voting status, I don't care if you voted every election since you were 18. I don't care if you just started voting. I don't care if you think you registered. Recheck it. Start now. You, your loved ones, those in your household. Recheck it. Because the stories I heard going to meetings this week alone scared me half to death. Looking at and listening to people saying they thought they were registered and they went on and they saw they were deactivated. It's your right. This is your voice. This next election is going to be one of the most important ones. Midterms is coming up. Who controls Congress? Now, the big news of Congress down here is, and we've talked about it, we led with it here on Voice of the Caribbean. You may have heard that Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick has resigned her seat before being sanctioned by her colleagues in the United States House of Representatives. Again, Sheila Sherfilis McCormick, who was already running for re-election, has now officially resigned. Now, I read yesterday that Broward County Supervisor of Election head Joe Scott is actually, now this is crazy. Now, Sheila Sherfilis McCormick's seat was going to come up for election already. This August was the primary, and then November the general. Primary is when you vote by your party, pick the best one for your party. Then the two best from the parties, Republican, Democrat, whichever one's the primary, go head to head against each other in November during the general election. Now, I saw yesterday the headline that said the supervisor of elections, Joe Scott of Broward County, he wants Governor DeSantis. Now, actually, let me get the report up and read it for you directly. Allegedly, I read it yesterday, that he wants a special election called for Sheila Sherfilis McCormick's congressional seat prior to the August election. Now, I don't know about this. I'll go into more detail when I have more time, guys. We're almost out of time here. This is the Suzette Speak Show. Just reminding you, the time is right. 1:50. Today's high temperature, 80. Scattered shower, 30%. Tomorrow, same thing, 81. Scattered shower, 30%. All weekend, 85 and 87 on Sunday. Woo! All throughout. A few storms, scattered showers. Bring your umbrella with you this weekend. Through Monday. Looks like we return back to nice sunny weather Tuesday. We're also getting reports there's a new emergency department at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Shout out to Miami's own Jackson Memorial Hospital. They have way more private beds. I'm so happy. They basically expanded their emergency department. They have new emergency rooms at Jackson Memorial Hospital, private rooms where people who could come in who have an emergency can be seen privately. You know how emergency rooms can get. Far more beds, far more facilities. Shout out to Jackson Memorial Hospital in Miami, introducing their new emergency department today. So we're very happy to hear that. They're expanded their facilities to help serve the community better. That's great. Adult Emergency Center has been opened at Jackson Memorial Hospital for those of our listeners in Miami. That's good to know. But if I don't tell you anything, re-register to vote. Just be on the safe side. If you don't remember anything I say today, re-register to vote. Check your voter registration now. Not right before the election. Remember, you have to be properly registered 29 days before any election in Florida. It's not going to work if you show up at the polls. Hey, I'm ready to vote. Here's my ID. Well, sir, your license was issued after July 1st of 2025. It does not match because everyone after July 1st of 2025 got a new license number. Now what? Your voting roll don't match your license. Now what? How do you prove it's you? If your maiden name changed, if your address changed, if you haven't voted in several elections, every single person under the sound of my voice needs to check their voter registration, because we don't know for a fact if you've been purged. If you even have been purged and taken off or kicked off illegally or incorrectly, let's say they make a mistake. But my mom say, not everything is a mistake. But there are going to be a lot of people disappointed when it comes to the midterm election. And we don't want it to be you. We want you to start checking your voter registration now. And we want you to start checking your, or requesting your vote by mail now. Because remember, vote by mail is not automatic anymore in Florida. It doesn't renew every 2 elections, 3 elections. You have to do it every election now. That's how they set it up. So in order to have a vote by mail in the next election, you'll need to send your supervisor of elections a new vote by mail request every year. Oh, shout out to the Pope. Pope Leo's now wrapping up his 11-day Africa tour with a visit to Equatorial Guinea. Did you see him in Cameroon? I like this Pope, y'all. That's my opinion. Did you see him in Cameroon? Wow. Little hope and little unity in a time that we needed. Shout out to Pope Leo, America's own, Chicago's own Pope Leo. Made his first trip throughout Africa, and an 11-day trip is wrapping up today. Have you been watching it? That's been on my social media feed as well. I like watching Pope Leo. He gives me hope. He seems like a genuine human being that loves other human beings and want peace on earth. Imagine that. Peace on earth. We can get back to it. Anyway, this is a Suze SP show. We got a few minutes left. Dedicating today's show again to public service. Remember, you may qualify for Medicare savings programs. If you don't know, if you have a loved one, an elder, someone that you're responsible for, someone you take care of, make sure you check out Medicare savings programs. If you have questions about that, if you were listening and you are unsure, you can visit floridahealthjustice.org. That's floridahealthjustice.org. Right now, I'm talking about voter registration and re-registration, because a lot of people who think they're registered come this midterm are going to have a sad awakening, a rude awakening. If they go to the polls and all of a sudden they're like, no, ma'am, you've been deactivated. You can't vote today. You were never reactivated. And it's very simple to reactivate your voting. Update your address. Update your phone number. Update your driver's license number. You may visit the Supervisor of Elections office website where you live, or you can go down. I'm going to go in person. I don't play about my vote. That is my voice. My voice is my vote. With everything happening in the world, with people paying a lot more for their groceries, a lot more for their gas, being laid off, the difficult economic hardships that people have with paying medical bills. I was at a community forum Monday, and somebody was just talking about they had a $100,000 COVID bill they were still paying. The gentleman looked well over, I would guess 65. No, maybe 75. I don't want to guess the man's age wrong, but point being, at his age and probably on a fixed income, he still was paying his COVID hospital bill of $100,000. So when we talk about healthcare here, it's not just to, be talking. It's so that we can make sure that our community is well informed. And that's why we're talking about voting nice and early. We're not going to wait till the midterms. Be aware that if you renewed or replaced your driver's license since July 1st of last year, that automatically triggered a license number change. Listen again. Many of you fall within this category. If you renew or replace your driver's license since July 1st of last year, that triggered a driver's license number change. Please update it with the Supervisor of Elections where you live. Once again, I'll say it a third time because it's that important. If you have renewed or replaced your driver's license since July 1st of last year, July 1st, 2025, That triggered an automatic license number change. What does that mean? The number that you have on your voter registration no longer matches the number on your license. What does that mean? Please update it with the supervisor of elections. You can do it online. Some folks where they live, you have to do it in person. But the phone number, the website of your supervisor of elections, you could just Google it and update your license. Because if your license, when you walk up to vote, does not match the registration license number that you had on the time, because every license after July 1st of last year has a new number. You guys think it's on purpose? You think it's by design? Or you think this is just, well, we don't want to get into it. Y'all don't want the truth. Some are calling it voter suppression. How many new rules there are? Deactivating people who have not voted in over 3 elections. You automatically kicked off. It doesn't mean that you can't go back on. It's okay. Change your address. Update something on the Supervisor of Elections website. It will reactivate you. So don't worry. If you have not voted in 2 or 3 of the last elections and they trying to deactivate you, say you have no interest in voting. They deactivated people, taking you off the voters' rolls, purging you. You won't be able to vote unless you reactivate. So these are the rules, guys, that we're going over. Why? Because they're so important. You go to the website of your supervisor of elections for the county that you live in, whatever county. Monroe County, Miami-Dade County, Broward County, Palm Beach supervisor elections, whichever one you live in. Check your voter status early. Check the voter status of the people that live in your household early. Your friends, your family, your grown parents, or your parents will be grown, but your grown kids is where I was going, your adult kids, your young, newly registered kids. Get them registered. But we got to figure out if you're actually an active voter. That is the key. And if you need to re-register, it's not a big deal. Go ahead and re-register. Appreciate y'all listening. That's all the time I have here on the Suzette Speak Show. I'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Keep it locked for Lisa B right after this.
W245BC, Lauderdale Lakes, 96.9 FM, the all-new voice of the Caribbean.
This is the all-new voice of the Caribbean. Better sounding radio. WLYF HD2 Miami, 101.5 HD2. The city of Lauderdale.
Got the information out I wanted to get out. I'm so happy. Good show. Y'all hit the like button before you leave. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Appreciate you listening. See you guys soon. Take care. Have a great day. Get these back over here. Oops.